Oh, I'm perfectly happy with my cream. Thank you.
Absolutely. We are live on Radio Tekkers. The wrestling may have finished, but this is the after party, like about Matt and Mags. We're here, and this is the Volley live. Indeed, via the media and Radio Tekkers, Matt and Mags live here on YouTube and Twitch. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Tired. I mean, I'm always tired. Just
It's been a long
permanently tired.
weekend for you, of course, hasn't it?
Yep, UFC. I've still got to catch up on AW Revolution, which I'll hopefully be able to catch up in the next
Okay,
couple of weeks.
show. It's an okay show, Mags. It's not England.
I don't I don't take your bias, your biased opinions.
Mags. I'd say that's probably. The only thing I'll say about it is like, where do they go from here? Because I can't see it getting better than that.
Okay, I mean Revolution's always banged it out of the park for me. I don't think
Yeah,
I think
it's
that's
their mania.
become their mania. Yeah.
And that sounds great, but the thing is, where do you go from here, sort of thing. So I look forward to seeing that. But in any case, we are here, of course, to talk about the Premier League, the backbone of Radio Tekkers, of course. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of the weekend's football, though, as you guys may be seeing at the bottom of the screen right now, we have a little bit of breaking news from the from FIFA, of course. They've announced that foreign players and coaches in Russia have the right to suspend their contracts and leave the country and sign for other clubs till the end of June this year. Now, there's no guarantee that anyone will take them up on this. You haven't got to, but they have the right to do so, apparently, and they will not face any implications if they choose to do so. And we were briefly talking about this as news broke manager before we came on air. Actually, it broke while Chain Wrestling was on. I didn't want to disturb you while you're doing Chain Wrestling, but this could be quite a big deal if it escalates further than just being to the end of June.
Yeah, I think a lot of the devil is in the detail and the wording of this statement. So the wording is players and coaches will be considered out of contract until the 30th of June 2022 and will therefore be at liberty to sign a contract with with another club without facing any consequences of any kind. So instantly, when you see the headlines, you think maybe all players are out of contract and free to sign for another club. It doesn't seem that that's quite the case. It seems almost like they're essentially available for loan until June of this year. And FIFPro, the players' union, have kind of confirmed this by saying that these players should be allowed to terminate their contracts and that they don't think that the measures go far enough. As we were talking off air, if this war does escalate and it does continue, we may get to a point that in June the contracts are all null and void. And I think that's huge for these clubs, Russian clubs. It will decimate the league. It will decimate the Russian clubs. This has got the potential to be a historic decision for the whole of the Russian Football League.
Indeed, and not only that, but we have to be very clear. The wording is very specific here. It's foreign players and coaches in Russia. It means Russian players and coaches are not eligible to do the same thing.
That's very true, but also they're ineligible for playing international sporting events anyway. So.
Indeed. It's all very, very messy and muddy, and we don't want to delve too much into that. But obviously, because we do cover everything to do with Premier League, we obviously do stand with Ukraine. Here, we're very proud of that fact. Here, we will obviously keep abreast of things as we go along. But that's all we have to say about that today, Max. That's the only real breaking news to bring to people today. So we are going to move on with the Premier League, Mags. What a wonderful thing we watch.
It's been an entertaining weekend as well.
It's been an entertaining weekend, of course. And of course, if you are joining the chat, don't forget to throw your comments as we go along in, and we'll come to you as we go through the show. Let's start with the early game on Saturday, Max. It was all weekend football for a change. Nothing through the week. It was just all the weekend.
Come back next week when there's plenty of midweek football.
Yes, you're not wrong on that side of things, Mags. We have Tom Q in the chat. Is saying, balancing the series and lighthearted is one of the hardest parts of streaming. Smoothly done, gents.
We appreciate that, Tom. And again, as I said last week, massive congratulations on your very, very well-deserved success. It's been a pleasure to see you rise from the essential ashes to becoming a force in the wrestling journalism sphere. So yeah, I'm very, very proud of you, sir.
Indeed, sir. Flourish. We are very proud of you, sir. Very proud of you indeed. Right, let's start with Leicester and Leeds, Mag, the early game.
Yeah, I mean, a lot going into this game. Jesse Marsch, obviously, instilled as the new manager. Leeds were in absolute freefall with Bielsa. Love him or love him, and I personally thought he was a breath of fresh air. The issue is that he was very single-minded in terms of his football and his philosophy on football, and it got found out. No two ways about it. The Premier League certainly knew that Leeds didn't have a plan B, and they became easy to play against. Jesse Marsch has brought some different ideas in, brought some different tactics, and it looked like a completely different Leeds side. They were very, very entertaining to watch, very kind of fluid. And on another day, they could have won this game. We had chances for Harrison, we had chances for Junior Firpo, Rodrigo, Rafinha. All could have had opportunities to score. Unfortunately, when you are in a rut like Leeds are, sometimes the luck just doesn't ride with you, and they were essentially upended by a Harvey Barnes goal, a really well played goal. I love that. I love the 1-2 that he played with Iheanacho for the goal, and it was really well taken. Leicester can maybe count themselves lucky because
very lucky.
Whilst the percentage of football was even-ish, I think Leicester just edged it. In terms of shots, Leeds were just so dominant. 19 shots. The problem is they had 4 on target, the same amount of Leicester, but Leicester's 4 came from 7 shots. So a lot of positives for Leeds to come out of this. They're certainly not out of the woods in terms of relegation, but if they perform like this over the rest of the season, the results will come. They will get the goals, and they'll probably claw their way out of that situation. And in terms of Leicester, it was a win that they very much needed. They've been another team who have kind of like really stuttered. I mean, earlier in the season, we were looking at these as Champions League contenders. Now they'll be happy with mid-table mediocrity, to be quite fair. But for a 1-0, it was an entertaining match to watch.
Yeah, Dan James has looked bright, as bright as he's looked all season, in my personal opinion. He was everywhere. He was lively. He was sharp. Marsch seems to have already got more out of him than, with great respect, than Bielsa did. Mm-hmm. Leicester were very fortunate here. Very fortunate. They had Peter Schmeichel's boy in goal, because he certainly kept them in it.
He had a very busy day.
He had a very busy day. Leeds did not deserve to lose this game. They deserved something from this game, for sure. But
that's how it goes when you are in the weeds. Going into this game, they hadn't won in 5. Obviously now that's extended, and that's when you don't get the rub of the green. You don't get that luck, and unfortunately for Leeds, they didn't get what they deserved out of this match. But like I said, there's positives there to look at, and certainly there'll be a new vibrance around Ellen Road, I think.
Fingers crossed from that side of things. Leicester, big win for them. They needed to get back on the winning side of things. I don't know if they actually got enough about them to actually get back into the European spot, or if they would just be happy with a top 10.
So currently they're on 33 points.
Yes.
European is 45, so I think they're out of the mix there. They've only got one game in hand over Spurs. So yeah, I think Europe is out of there for them, but the higher that they can climb in the table, the better standing they'll have for next season. But yeah, sure. This is a forgettable season for Leicester. Make no bones about it.
For sure. Certainly rebuilding season. Little tip for Mags then maybe is play Patson Daka more. You get more goals. I
can't say that enough. I really can't. The guy is just. I feel sad that he is essentially spent a year on the sidelines. I get bringing a new player takes time, and you've got to kind of slowly bring them into the fold. But he has just not had enough game time. This is a killer in the Austrian League. He was a killer in Europe, and he's a bit part player in a Leicester team that needed the goals from him.
Indeed, and he was lighting up Europa League when they were in it as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. Indeed.
Lots of things up in the chat. Scottish Danny saying, "Evening, gentlemen," and I believe it's the first time in a Radio Tekkers chat.
Hello,
Mr. Dave Pazewski.
Good guy, Dave. Hello, sir, and thank you for those amazingly kind words. I really massively appreciate it. Fun fact: I had the pleasure of having Dave on a podcast, and it was very early into my podcasting career. I say career as if it pays my bills. It definitely does not. But that interview was when I really felt that I could be pretty good at this thing, and Dave was absolutely amazing in that episode. So I'll always have a lot of love for Mr. Pazewski.
Indeed, it was a one and done as well. Dave, he'd never done another podcast since.
I mean, once you've done the best, once you've ate steak, you don't really want burgers anymore, do you?
Yeah, I've tried having him on one of my shows. He said, "No, I'm Mags and Max here, sir. That works for me." Yeah. But Dave, very welcome in the chat whenever you want, sir, for sure. Leeds. I think Marsh will help him, but is it too late to slow the gap? I guess we'll find out.
I mean, the thing with the Premier League bottom part of the table is that everybody's losing. Literally, all of the bottom bottom five. Brentford actually did pick up a victory, but essentially all of the bottom six keep losing very, very regularly. So Leeds are certainly not out of the danger zone yet. But if they perform on this level, they will pick up points, which will at least ease their way out of trouble. Yeah.
Right, let's move on to some of the 3 o'clock games, Mag, shall we? And let's move on to the first one. Aston Villa versus Southampton.
What a glorious game to watch. It was amazing. And it just goes to show how one signing can bring in so much energy. I mean, we talk about a Villa side who spent big in the transfer window. Obviously sold big as well, but really tried to fill a massive Jack Grealish hole. And at the early parts of the season, it looked like it was coming off, and then the wheels kind of fell off, and they went into free fall. Coutinho comes into the club, and it's like watching Coutinho when he was at Liverpool. Everything he touched in this game was fucking golden. The guy is he's the kind of player you watch with your jaw dropping. just the things that he can do, the energy he emanates to the rest of the team. He makes everybody around him look so much better. He was unplayable. Absolutely unplayable.
When he was at Anfield, Mags, when he used to play for us, he was an absolute magician. He had a wand in that right foot, for sure. Everything he touched, I mean, it's his best game since he was back in the Premier League, for sure. But it's also what he got. He's also managed to get more out of Watkins and Ings as a result of it.
And Ings had 2 assists and a goal, and yet he didn't perform on the level of Philippe Coutinho, and nowhere near the level. This was a great team performance by Villa. I've got to give them props. It looked incredibly one-sided, and the statistic-wise, it is one-sided. 14 shots to Villa, 11 to Southampton, but 9 on target from Villa and only 1 on target for Southampton. And that 1 on target produced an immaculate save from Emi Martinez. But Villa only had 38% of the ball, and yet produced so many great chances. It was fun watching this game. Really, really fun. They could have had 6. They could have had 8 goals easily.
But the fact is, as they the one shot they did have, I mean, the save from Martinez to get down that low and then put it over the bar. I've never seen this. And bear in mind, that was at 4-0.
Yeah.
Of course. He could let on, if he missed that one, like fair play to him sort of thing, but really, really good save. Really good save. We have questions in the chat. We've got a question here from Millwall Chris over on Twitch.
Hello, sir. Hello. How are you, sir?
He's asking, evening, gents, if Everton get relegated, we'll get to them. Would they be considered the biggest club to be relegated from the Premier League? In terms of stature,
I mean, City did get relegated, but that was before, I suppose, they became this massive force. I mean, Blackburn, when they got relegated, they were former Premier League winners and had also spent quite heavily. But in terms of legacy, I think Everton may well be the biggest that could potentially drop out of the league. Multi-time
winners of trophies. It was between them and Liverpool. The 80s were completely dominated by Merseyside.
And even in Premier League era, Everton have always been a big club, regularly in the top 6. It's only over recent years where that's kind of fell off a little bit. But yeah, I mean, look at the players in their team, internationals all the way through it. Every position is filled with an international. And yet they could potentially be relegated. And on form, the worst team in the league.
Indeed. We will, of course, get to that, of course. But just for context, Everton's last game of the season is against Arsenal. Arsenal could send Everton down.
It might happen before that.
It may well do. It may well do indeed. Graham, we've got back up in the chat saying Dundo Chain Wrestling, so we'll catch up from the start. So you got about 15 minutes. So in his side of, he's not watching at half speed, surely. He's watching at double, knowing Graham. And Connor Cave saying hello to both and hello to you too.
Hello, sir. Again, as I pushed on Chain Wrestling, go and check out Connor's great work. He's a massive Columbus Crew fan and does some watch-alongs of their matches. So yeah, go and check out his stuff. And also, when you finish with us, go and check out Good Cop Bad Cop, because it's a bloody good podcast.
Thank you, Meg. I appreciate that. There's very nice, kind words. Southampton, they have good results, and I mean they get results against Man City and Man United, and then they capitulate.
Yeah, and they'd had really good form as well. I mean, there was a period in where they couldn't buy a win, and they've forced their way back into the top half of the table. Hadn't lost in the last 4. It just wasn't their day. Nothing they did were going right, and I think sometimes that kind of middle 3 that they play, it lacks creativity. I mean, as much as I like Romeu, as much as I like James Ward-Prowse and Stuart Armstrong, sometimes you need some flair in there, and obviously Aston Villa have got that now with Coutinho in abundance, and that was the defining factor. There was no flair from Southampton, whereas Villa just oozed flair.
Absolutely. Woo. And that's exactly what we want to be seeing Aston Villa doing on a regular basis going forward. Because Coutinho, the thing is, will they be able to make that a permanent signing? Barca probably want him gone now. But Barca will be thinking, like, well, why can't he do that for us, sort of thing? Because he wasn't being used properly.
I think the issue would be is maybe Coutinho is bigger than Villa. And the Villa move was a very last-minute thing. Is it a case of him getting game time, getting himself in the shop window for a bigger European level club to swoop in? I think that seems to be the aim for Philippe Coutinho for me.
Maybe, but at the same time, I also think that because Gerrard's there, maybe he will stay there.
Again, that's another factor.
Mates. They're good mates. So Villa marching on. What's wrong, Max?
Just you spelt Tanner's last name wrong, so it just looks a little bit sketchy.
No, it's meant to be sketchy. That's maybe his get out clause, Max. Right. Speaking of get out clauses, unfortunately, let's quickly talk about this so we can move on.
Okay. I mean, bright start. Let's go with the positive first. Burnley were bright to start. We've had some really good chances. One in particular from Dwight McNeil. If that would have gone in, could have changed the landscape of this game. Chelsea were quiet in that first half. Burnley looked like they were going to get something from the game, and then Reece James decided, nope, you're not getting anything. And brilliant goal from Reece James, really kind of foxed everybody in the Burnley box. Kai Havertz, he got a lot of plaudits, and semi-rightly so, because at the end of the day he did get 2 goals, but all the hard work was done by other people to set those goals up, particularly in Reece James again. And then the 4th goal by Pulisic really kind of cemented this win. Great goal by him. Burnley just collapsed in that second half. And to be fair, it should have happened. Chelsea are a multi-billion pound team, and Burnley are essentially the scruffs of the Premier League. You would expect this result to happen, and the stats absolutely show that. 27% of the ball for Burnley. The positive is that we had 6 shots, and we kept Chelsea down to only 11 shots out of their 73% of the ball. They had 5 on target, 4 of them went in the net. That's the issue. The defence did absolutely collapse, but it was a good performance by Chelsea. I can't take that away from them.
First half, I'm thinking of you as being a Burnley fan. You guys were really unlucky, and Chelsea rode their luck massively in the first half. I feel quite bad for Tarkowski. He looked exhausted when the ball just hit him for the 4th. I felt really bad for your back line. They just looked exhausted.
It's been a long struggle for Burnley. It's been a tough season. We've always got... Go on.
The only thing is, what you need now is you need like a 2-week break so they can all refresh themselves a little bit. The problem is that you're always to try and fit in.
We've got like 3 fixtures that we have to fit in. I mean, I can't be too harsh on the squad. It's still a very small squad, very threadbare, and they are putting in loads and massive amounts of effort. But unfortunately, this Chelsea team came to destroy. They've had some lacklustre results of recently, kind of clawing victories out of the jaws of defeat almost. But this one, they were dominant. That second half was a dominant second half, and Chelsea absolutely deserved it.
Indeed. Come came in the chat following up things. Pulisic scored and had amazing assists against Burnley, albeit he was given a chance to show out a little bit at Chelsea. Indeed, Pulisic back in the team definitely is good for him. You mentioned about Kai Havertz there. I've got something written down here about Kai Havertz. I've decided I don't like his face.
I mean, that's very mean.
The thing about him, he just looks so smarmy the whole time.
I mean, he's like 21 years old or something like that.
Like I said, smarmy.
Wow. That I don't agree with that. I think he's a cute little cherub.
Okay. But yeah, aside from the fact that Kai Havertz has got a weird face,
which he definitely has not, people.
My personal opinion, he is an incredible footballer, and he did pick up 2 goals. But that's also the first time he scored in the league since he played against Burnley back in November.
It is. He loves scoring against Burnley. Let's not make any bones about it.
True, mate. But he's also played every league game since then.
That is also true. So he loves scoring against Burnley. He hates scoring against anyone else.
He can't score against anybody else. Is what some people also say. People could be mean and say.
And like I said, he got a lot of plaudits. I think he ended up being called the man of the match. I think that flatters him a little bit.
Beats James for me.
Yeah, for me, and he may get a mention later on. I think that he was the right person in the right place for both of his goals. All the hard work being done by other people, and he essentially had a couple of pretty easy chances to put away. Reece James's goal was phenomenal. He skinned 3 players in that box before slotting that goal on. He was the difference for me. Reece James, he was just so damn good.
Indeed. Chelsea, I think Chelsea needed this. And the Fluffer's in.
Wow. Do you know, he's never had sterilised milk as well. Just you Southerners.
I did invite him onto the show tonight to talk about United.
He said, why don't you tell Matt to get fucked? That's what he said to me.
He said he had an early start in the morning. Funny that. So far, I'm still here. Right, anyway, moving on. Before we get quick one from McCabe. Aston Villa could challenge for Conference League or Europa League spot if they keep their form, but have to rein in a 12-point gap.
Yeah, that's the issue. I think outside of the top 8, Europe is done.
It's order.
Yeah, it's the mathematically it's possible. But a lot of ducks would have to fall in a row. Villa will probably be looking to push for Europe next season. Same with Leicester.
Newcastle certainly.
Well, Newcastle will be probably looking for Champions League next season.
Yeah.
And that's not even a joke. They will spend heavily, and they'll be looking for Champions League next season.
Yeah, they are making big strides away from and that we are going to be going to them next, in fact, Mags. But Burnley, I think before the game, Sean Dyche would maybe have thought we probably won't get much out of this game. And 0-0, he'd been very happy with that result at half time.
I mean, it's the second loss on a bounce, and we could have done with the points knowing how the results around us went. But when you come up against Chelsea, it's very hard to expect. Yeah, it's very hard to expect a point out of them, especially when you're Burnley. I would have preferred not to be tubbed 4-0, but them's the breaks. When players are on form, the goals will come.
See, I'm going to name drop here on the Sky Sports YouTube page. The clip says Chelsea. Yeah, okay, fair. Chelsea thump Burnley. I'm like, I'm not entirely sure you can say a thump.
I mean,
to be fair,
4-0 is a thumping.
Yeah, but 4-0 into the whole sort of the game.
I get that, but headlines is headlines, and 4-0 is a headline score.
Indeed. And oh god, Graham from Good Cop Bad Cop in the chat. Weird face. What the f is wrong with you, Mag? Don't please don't allow this. As the Premier League says, there is no room for facism.
I mean, Matt can't help his very weird looking face.
To be fair, this is true. Now let's talk
mean, very, very mean.
Now let's talk about Newcastle United a bit, mate, because Newcastle United had They look lively.
How good was that first 15 minutes?
Oh, beautiful.
I mean, and we speak about players coming in and kind of lifting the club. That's what the Newcastle signings have done, and we've said this a couple of times now, but Newcastle were linked with so many big stars. I mean, the talk of people like Mbappe and Neymar and ridiculous names. I personally think that whilst they've overpaid for players, they brought in sensible signings that provide a backbone, but also kind of up the game of the players that are there, and that showed in this with Ryan Fraser. He had a great first half of the game, and then with I think he actually provided the assist for the Shaw goal as well. Some really well taken goals. Newcastle looked like a team who weren't in a relegation battle at all. The football was flowing, and this was without Alan St. Maximin even started. I think it came on late. Yeah, later on. But yeah, the football was flowing, very bright, very energetic. Almost kind of let it fall flat when Dunk scored, and then he almost got a second one. But all in all, a lot of positives for Newcastle. This puts them well out of the relegation zone now. I think they're maybe like 14th after this. It was an entertaining game, a really, really entertaining game.
If I'd watched this game, Mags, not knowing the rest of the season had happened beforehand, and you told me that Newcastle, boom!
I knocked my mark stand with my cup.
Sorry, that was like a big crash of drums. You know, the old one you used to see
boom
before a certain before a certain film usually. Exactly. Train of thoughts gone. Yes. Thanks,
so Newcastle are not. You wouldn't think that they're a relegation in battle team.
No, not at all, Mag. Because they don't look like the team they were before. And the thing is, majority of the players on the pitch are the same. Although I have to point out, John Shelvey was a massive liability in this game.
This game or the season in general.
Well, I'm just saying that this game highlighted it again, and I can see him being one of the ones out the door end of the season for sure. Yeah. I've got to say, felt a bit bad for Murphy because that should have been his goal, not Fraser's. But it happened. Fraser was in the right place at the right time to follow it up. Yep. As you say, so Maximum didn't even need to start to win this game. I've just something I'm not convinced about regarding Jimenez. I mean, why can't he start a game? Is he really that much out of shape?
And if he is, why would you bring him in? I mean, he did get game time. Didn't do particularly much. Yeah, didn't do particularly much with it. But again, looking at stats, Newcastle shouldn't have won this game. They were handily beaten in possession, handily beaten in shots, but this has been typical of Brighton, dominating with flowing football, just not able to put the ball in the net, and their tumble down the league has been very, very profound. I mean, we're looking at a team who was the draw generals of the league. Now they've lost 4 on the bounce. Newcastle are within touching distance of overtaking them. That's how different these two teams' seasons are going.
They have a game in hand. They win that. They'll be just 2 points behind them.
Yeah.
And that, seeing at one point Brighton were 3rd, 4th.
No, wasn't there the first time in history that they were top of the league?
But they were holding steady the top 4 for a while.
They were certainly looking to be in Europe.
Now they'll take 13th, I think, if you gave it to them. And that's not good for them. Newcastle will march on, and they'll be fine now. But the thing is, Eddie Howe feels like he seems to be man for the job. And I think if he keeps where they are, illogically, how can they get rid of him?
I get that, but when you are throwing the kind of money that you will see Newcastle throw in the transfer window, is Eddie Howe the man that brings those players in?
Maybe, maybe not. Same time, Mags. One thing we've learned from having unlimited money and playing Football Manager or a football club, you've got to make sure you buy the right players to fit what you want to play. You don't go out there and buy 5 Ronaldos and 6 Messis. Okay, you got to fit your formation. And
well, I don't know if the Saudi people believe the same that you believe. I think they would happily have the 6 Ronaldos and 6 Messis.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm just saying that you've got to make sure that you need to. You know what I'm saying?
I understand. Yeah, I understand. You need a balance. I just don't think Newcastle will do that. I think Newcastle will be going for every big hitter that is even close to being on the market.
The problem is that everyone knows that Newcastle got the money, so the transfer market may get inflated again.
Mm-hmm.
Right, let's stay near the bottom end of the table and talk about a relegation scrap. Norwich Brentford, Max.
Yeah, I'm disappointed in this because I wanted a draw. It would have been the best result for Burnley, but Brentford desperately needed this win, and they fully deserved it. To be fair, played Norwich off the park for long periods. A shame that it came down to 2 penalties, but they were quite rightly penalties. I'm not a big fan of Ivan Toney's short run up. I've never been a huge fan of that. But the first one, I think, was the first goal, really well taken by Ivan Toney. That is the Ivan Toney of last season, where he was just dominating in the Championship, just clinical finishing. The first penalty came when I think it was the review well after the fact about Ben Gibson and his half foot, which caught I think it was Pontus Jansson in the face. And then 6 minutes later, it was all done by the shouting when Gibson again. He was the guy that took down Ivan Toney. Now I think Ivan played for this penalty. I'm not saying he's diving, but he certainly slowed his pace down to allow the challenge to come in for him to get the penalty. But again, another really well taken penalty. Norwich did get a consolation, a good finish by Timo Pukki. But other than that, this was a culling, and it was the good thing from me being a Burnley fan is I didn't want Brentford to win, but it was cool seeing Christian Eriksen on the winning side again.
Yes, Pinnock's throw for Brentford, by the way, that is a real weapon. When it is right,
it certainly is.
It really is. You may not like the short run up on the penalties, mate. I personally do like them because I do because I prefer that over. Remember Zaza, who used to do it like
for West Ham.
Yeah, I think the penalty he took for Italy is still circling the earth. Literally, I've never seen such a stupid run up in my life. It's worse than the little hot step of the jump that you get from Bruno Fernandes.
I hate that penalty.
Yeah,
that annoys me.
Or the way that Rooney used to stand in the middle and jump to the side and run up.
That didn't bother me as much. Definitely the Bruno Fernandes one just grinds the absolute piss out of me.
Although I do remember once Rooney doing that. I remember him doing that because the camera came down behind him, so you could see like down to the goal. Old Trafford, the game it was against Arsenal. It was 0-0, and Rooney did that, and the ball went into a top tier.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah,
Jesus!
Yeah.
So, getting back to this game, I want to just touch on Christian Eriksen again.
Yes, absolutely.
The football world is united in the fact that we are so glad this guy is back playing football.
Yeah.
And what a performance he had. He had more touches than any of his teammates. He had more passes than any of his teammates. More passes into the final third than any of his teammates, and he played all of the game, all 98 minutes. So amazing. What a guy. What a comeback story for the ages. There will be a movie made about this. I can guarantee it.
Time Brentford annoyed me with it being a movie, I tell you. It's Hollywood stuff for sure. With one particular moment I love about this, aside from the great corner he took for the assist for the goal, is that Eriksen fouled Williams, and Williams turned around and was about to lamp who fouled him. Saw it was Eriksen, hugged him. Hugged him. So I can't get mad at Eriksen.
and it just goes to show how great a performance he had. Ivan Toney got a hat trick. That usually means guaranteed man of the match. Eriksen beat him by a lot.
Eriksen is adored by the footballing world, and Eriksen, since the last two games, he came on when Brentford were beat last week, and they looked better as soon as he came on. He started playing conductor, and it was great. And this game, yes, it's going to sound offensive, but it's not meant to be. Yes, it was only Norwich, but for your first start after dying, let's call a spade. It's not a bad comeback game.
No, absolutely not, and a massive performance, and yeah, it just puts a smile on your face.
Absolutely, I will give absolute props to Timo Pukki. What a volley!
Yeah,
worthy of the show's name for sure.
And they had 15 shots. It's like 7 on target, so it's not like Norwich aren't having chances. They're just not scoring goals, and you need to score goals in this league. And if you can't score goals against the weaker teams like Brentford, you are going to struggle.
You're going down.
Well, very much so. Right.
Palace and Wolves, Mag. The Palace been a bit indifferent recently. Be glad to get back on the winning side of things.
Yeah, I mean, trading wins, draws, and losses. They've not got any real kind of form to name. Wolves, on the other hand, bad form. 3 losses now on the bounce. Outplayed in this game from very much the first minute. Great goal by Mateta to open the scoring.
Sublime, wasn't it?
Conor Gallagher, I thought, had a really good game, and he was pivotal in this goal. Zaha with the penalty to kind of finish the game well before half time. Not really a lot happened in the second half. Palace had done enough in the first half to win the game. Wolves had nothing to offer. It's not a good kind of middle run to the season for Wolves, because you talk about a team who are still in the hunt for that elusive European spot, and they're becoming their own worst enemy by not picking up these what should have been a relatively easy victory for Wolves. You might get to a point where the Palace are overlapping them, which. Yeah, it's not a good sign. It wasn't that long ago Wolves were in the top 4, and now they're clinging on to 8th.
Yeah, but I think the top 8, as we said earlier, will be the top 8, but they need to put the brakes on quickly, for sure. I have thoughts about this, mainly that Wolves were fortunate of only 2. It should have and could have been way more. For sure, Gaeta wasn't as busy as Sarr was, for sure.
And it's weird. The majority of the games this week, the winning team has had less of the ball. This is another game where Wolves dominated possession, but were beaten and beaten easily, quite comfortably beaten, even though they had the same amount of shots. They still had 5 shots on target compared to Palace's 8. So it's not like they didn't have chances, but it's just a weird week where teams who have the majority of the ball are not able to convert that into goals.
This is another case of not how much ball you have, it's what you do with it when you've got it. And Palace made the most of their opportunities for sure. Got to feel that Schlupp went down like he'd been shot by a sniper. You've said. I mean, I'm not disputing it was a foul. It was a penalty, but still.
Yeah, I mean, you would do that though. Who wouldn't do that? I mean, you're looking. Ye old honourable Matt. At the end of the day, it was a trip. It was a fair penalty. I don't have any kind of grievance with it.
He didn't complain. To be fair, the defender didn't complain about it. But at the same time, I'm like, I've seen them not give him.
Yeah, and like you said, this could have been way worse for Wolves. Jose Sarr had to say he was on the losing side and conceded 2 goals. He had a decent game. There was a chance for Gallagher, which he was able to beat, and Elise, I think, had a shot which Jose Sarr was able to save. The issue was that they had nothing up front. They had no aggression up front. I barely remember Guaita getting a touch with the ball. I think maybe Podence. Yeah, I think Podence maybe had 1 shot. That's the only one I can really remember. But yeah, it was a decent win for Palace, and they'll be looking to maybe build on this and climb up the table. But yeah, Wolves are in free fall.
I think Chiquinho had a chance, but I can't remember any others. I've got to be honest. No, it was a thing. I mean, Hwang was extremely quiet. He's been lively all season.
Well, he had that first few games when he was brought in, and it looked like he refreshed the side, but he picked up an injury, I think, and he's just not been the same player since he came back. He's barely had a sniff of the ball. So yeah, Wolves need to do something, and something pretty quickly before this kind of the wheels come off this.
Yes, and that could happen if we're not careful. We will keep an eye on them as we go forward over the next few weeks. Liverpool West Ham. Now, this is one of the first times Liverpool actually played before Man City for good. Well, it feels like months, but it's not. It feels like it. Touch luck in this game.
Yeah, I suppose, but stats-wise, Liverpool dominated again. They were the anomaly team of the weekend. They actually had the most of the possession and won the game. But 22 shots, only 5 on target, which is a little bit concerning compared to West Ham's 13. But this was a bloody entertaining game to watch. Very, very end-to-end. Goal line clearances are plenty. Trent Alexander-Arnold
twice in 10 seconds,
and also with the assist for the goal as well. Let's not rule that out. The goal was, you could say, lucky with VAR. We've seen those ruled out. Very kind of down to inches, I suppose, but well taken by Mane. I think on balance, Liverpool definitely deserved the win. West Ham will be kicking themselves that they didn't come away with something in this game, but also that Jared Bowen looks like he's he might be out for quite a while. He had a collision with, I think it was Andy Robertson, and he ended up being helped down the tunnel. Hopefully we'll hear some news pretty soon that it's not as bad as it was. But West Ham did have their own chances. Fornals had a great chance. Lanzini had a great chance. But I think Liverpool, they deserve the win.
Yeah, the thing is that although it's an assist for Trent Alexander-Arnold, he has admitted after the game, after some ribbing from Andy Robertson, because they were both giving an interview to LFC TV, that it was actually Alexander-Arnold having a shot which shanked.
They all count, sir. Someone else who was really impressive again, Diaz. He had a couple of really close chances. There was one where a little bit of a wayward pass from Mane. He was able to work that into a shot that was just wide. Yeah, that guy is a superstar. He's already world class, and he's so young. You've got him for another 15 years. He's going to be an absolute world beater.
Indeed. Going back to what about Jarrod Bowen, there has been some news about the injury he sustained, and it is just an impact injury. No significant injury has occurred.
That's brilliant news, because he's been in great form. I want to see him on the international stage. So yeah, that's cool that's come out. Indeed.
It also, incidentally, by the way, West Ham have also been linked with bringing Gerard Deulofeu back if Jarrod Bowen moves on to Liverpool. I can't see that happening.
I mean, he's a great player, but does he get in the Liverpool side? Unless you lose Firmino and Mane, I don't think so, because if you lose one, you've got a ready-made replacement in Jota and Diaz. Losing two, you are going to need a backup, and then perhaps Bowen would fit that bill. But yeah, I just don't see him getting that team. That Liverpool front line it's scary and deep.
Indeed. Lanzini and Antonio should really capitalise here. They should have won this game, West Ham, in my opinion. I watched this game from behind my sofa. If this watching the last 10 minutes of this game was scarier than watching the Daleks and the Sidemen growing up for me.
But this is what championship winning teams do. They win when their backs are against the wall.
I know I said earlier this season that I want Liverpool to win the league by beating the best at their best. Through that, I want to win a 6-0 every week and not have to do that. I don't want it anymore.
and how different of a game could this have been if Salah had scored with that first opportunity, like 30 seconds or so into the game?
Yes, it was about. I've got a section noted down here about how alert Fabianski was, because Vlasic gave away the free kick and the entire West Ham defence was switched off. What again? Aguero was a great free kick. For me, Trent was the man of the match for me, because he was everywhere, and he bailed Liverpool's centre halves out a couple of times. Konate in for the sick Matip. I mean, hopefully he'll be back for tomorrow night's game.
I know, because you need his attacking prowess.
You got to admit, he's got a new facet to him. He has.
He has, absolutely has.
Yeah, the last thing I've got about this game is Liverpool escaped for a win.
I mean that is true, but again, that's what title winning teams do. They win when perhaps they shouldn't win.
Absolutely. We could have said the same thing about one of the first game really from Sunday Mags, which was we could have said about Arsenal.
Again, this was another
what a game.
Great game to watch. This was a good advertisement for Premier League football. 4 out of these 5 goals were worldies, absolute worldies. Arsenal's opened with Odegaard, cracking finish. Saka's goal, what a thunderbolt. What a thunderbolt. Hernandez's goal was absolutely superb.
Yeah.
Goal of the day for me was Martinelli. That play, that link up with Lacazette, and even though Lacazette didn't get on the score sheet, he was pivotal in this game.
By example.
Yeah, his kind of no-look back heel to put the ball into the path of Martinelli, who just walled it into the back of the net. Could have gone very wrong at the end, and we've seen Arsenal collapse before when Sissoko got the.
Great goal.
It was a good team goal. I don't think it was spectacular looking, but it was a really good team goal. And Nketiah could have put the game to death with a shot that essentially broke the post. It was so hard. But yeah, I thought this was a really entertaining game to watch. Arsenal deserved the victory, but kind of made it hard work for themselves in the dying minutes. But so entertaining to watch.
Absolutely. I say Hernandez's his goal, half to the kick, half bicycle kick. It was wonderful to see. Saka, we ran out of superlatives to talk about with him. Smith Rowe wasn't able to play; he had COVID. But despite that,
they didn't even miss him. They didn't miss him. No.
Odegaard has really settled into that midfield, and Saka, we've run out of superlatives for him. He is just you could mention him as one of the best informed players in Europe right now.
Yeah, and I think as good as Saka is, for me, Arsenal's best player at the moment is Lacazette. He, as the elder statesman of Arsenal, a player who perhaps was looking to be on the outs at Arsenal, to now be captain and to be leading the line and to be pivotal in everything that Arsenal do going forward. The guy was superb today. Perfectly set up Saka for his power shot. Brilliant setup for Martinelli for his goal. Yeah, Lacazette leads by example. So I think a lot of praise for Arsenal has to go towards him.
I do agree, and I've got to say, Watford, despite losing, if they show this sort of grit and fight when they come up against other teams in the bottom half of the table, they've got a chance still.
Perhaps. I think
they're not miles away still, are they?
No, I think the issue is that their form is sketchy at best. They do have performances where they are really good, and then they let themselves down a hell of a lot as well. And even though they scored 2 in this game, in front of goal they've been quite shy. I think they're the 4th least scoring goals team in the whole of the league. So they're not doing the best in front of goal. But like the teams around them are not winning as well. So you pick up little points here and there, you can find yourself clawing your way out of that relegation zone.
Indeed. So Arsenal though back in the top 4. And we're looking over their shoulders because the next game, because let's face it, most of us predicted that the away team was getting a result, and it's the Tekkers watch-along match, Mags.
Most of us predicted. I mean, we actually didn't we? Fuck me, yeah. Aren't we idiots?
I think we all predicted Manchester United to win this game because Darwin imagine you throw the form look out the window. Oh boy, did we get this one wrong.
Yeah, and we did have a little bit of bias, I suppose, with 2 of the team being ardent Liverpool fans and me wanting an exciting finale to the Premier League season. But yet again, Man United played Jekyll and Hyde. After a struggle of an opening. I thought they were bright in the first couple of minutes. They could have easily opened the scoring themselves, but De Bruyne did get that first goal. Great play by Bernardo Silva to set that up. De Bruyne, the right person at the right time. Man United did well to kind of rally against that. They could have easily collapsed. And Sancho's goal was sublime. Absolutely sublime. That is the Sancho that they spent 2 years chasing. And that shows just exactly what he can do. And bittersweet that it was on the ground of the club that essentially let him go from Premier League football in the first place. But then when De Bruyne scored the second goal after that kind of like pinball in the box, you kind of felt that Man United were going to collapse in the second half because that's what they've been doing. And they absolutely did. The second half, they had only 4 touches in the opposition box. They only had 21% of the ball, and they had 0 shots in that second half. A very typical Man United performance recently where they play well in parts in a match and then absolutely collapse. Gundogan, Mahrez, all had really good performances in that second half. Phil Foden had a really good performance as well. But Man United just give up. They just absolutely give up. And for the third goal, the Mahrez kind of a wonder volley off the corner. I think Roy Keane, who it's fun watching him kind of melt down. Yeah, that's the perfect term for it. But he was absolutely right in what he said in the post match analysis that when that ball was floated so deep, why were Man United players not pushing out? You see the team standing round and doing nothing. You see Scott McTominay just let Mahrez float past him with the ball, and then just it's just a pathetic performance. And Tanner and I were speaking in the match about how Ragnick is this gegenpress hero, is this person who kind of really pushed for pressuring teams and hitting on the break. They didn't do this in this game whatsoever. Whenever City had the ball, they were able to pass it around with ease without coming out of first or even second gear, and still make their way to the Manchester United box. It was bad to see. This is a team that dominated for so long, and they were toothless. You saw Pogba running round playing chase the ball, while City were just passing nonchalantly. Nobody was putting any effort in, and yeah, it was just City deserved this victory, as simple as that, and Man United deserved to get whipped, and they got exactly what they played for.
Indeed. I'm going to try and say this without meaning to be disrespectful here, but I'm probably going to get an ass kicking for saying this. Man City's women could have beaten Man United on this performance. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying that with utmost respect.
And I actually feel genuinely bad for David De Gea, because I don't think he had a bad performance.
David De Gea was the highest ranked Man United player, and he was a 5, I think, if that.
If anything, he wants to be punching Slabhead clean in the face.
Yeah,
because
5.08, yeah.
Slabhead Maguire was at fault, or was part of the fault, for every single goal.
Unsurprisingly, he's the lowest ranked player of the entire
Shock.
game.
He fell over twice for the first 2 goals.
Can I guess his score, Meg, without looking?
I would be surprised if it's higher than 1.
It is. It's a 2.1.
He didn't. That's 100% more than he absolutely deserved.
Indeed. Just so you know, by the way, Sancho was second for Man United at a 4.7. The lowest ranked Man City player in this game was Edison, with 6.5. Because he had fuck all to do.
Yeah, he didn't. And
I mean,
and the goal, he had no keeper in the world was saving that goal.
No, absolutely not. No. To put it into context, Mag was saying about the stats in the second half. Across the entire game, 69% to 31 in favour of Man City, 24 shots to 5, 10 on target, 2 on target.
And those 24 shots came from a team that you never saw them run. You genuinely never saw Man City at full pace. No. They passed their way to 24 shots.
Indeed. I mean, I was in the chat. I was at work and I wasn't able to watch the game. That's why I like being in the chats to listen along with you guys and throw comments in there.
And we love to mock you incessantly about having to unplug your freezer to plug in your printer.
And I'm happy having the mocking come my way. But at the same time, I could also sense the frustration in both you and Tanner. Because I'm like, it was just Man United. This may have been the worst performance of the entire season for them. Not least because it was a derby game. They've now lost the derby over the season 6-1 on aggregate.
Oof, that's rough. Yeah,
not only that, but we thought they played badly in the 2-0 defeat at Old Trafford. This one, Jesus Christ. Some people being extremely brutal with regards to the Man United team. Someone actually has said that Ronaldo had his best game for a while because he wasn't playing.
And that, I think that's a point that we need to talk about. Ronaldo was injured for this game.
Yes, now, he had a hip injury, yes.
I am not saying that he's faking this injury whatsoever, but he hasn't played well for weeks. There's no passion there. Absolutely no passion there for he doesn't show any effort. I think he's bitterly regretting coming back to Manchester.
He has been linked. The morning papers mag have linked him with a move to PSG in the summer.
It would not shock me. No. And another player who was pivotal for Man United, Bruno Fernandes. The guy spends more time. He spends more time falling over and trying to bait the referee into booking the opposition than being the difference in the game.
Last week, Mags, I made the joke about amazing striker pairings, for the past. I'm going to say the same thing again because it's appropriate. Shearer and Sheringham, Cole and York, Son and Kane, Fernandes on the floor. I'm going to say it again because I'm absolutely right on this one.
And to put a bit of a positive spin for Man United, because there was something positive out of this game that I certainly noticed. That Elanga, for a player who was put in a position that he's not 100% comfortable with, I thought he had a really energetic performance. He didn't do much in terms of shots or shot creation, but at least he showed passion. He was all over the pitch. There were times we saw him at left back. He was on the right wing. He was the target man down the middle. But one man can't do it on his own. And the strikerless formation works for some clubs. It works for Man City. It did not work at all for Manchester United.
And sometimes they were playing with Fernandes and Pogba in the striker position as well. I mean, did you have a clue what they were doing most of the game?
And again, props to Pogba. He didn't have the best of games. This is a player who can change games at the drop of a hat. He's so super talented. But at least he showed passion. At least he was trying to win back the ball. The same can't be said for Fred. The same certainly cannot be said for McTominay. Fernandes. This was the 2-3 men trying the best and 8 other men simply not giving a toss.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some people have been saying that Harry Maguire's position of watching what's going on but not taking part is damage added to the Kama Sutra.
I mean, I know that Sarr is a massive Lindelof hater, and I get why. But the thing with Lindelof is, and I mentioned it on the stream, that he isn't Man United quality. Let's make no bones about it. But he performs to the level that you expect him of. Harry Maguire is a record-breaking defender in terms of price.
Well, Mag, this is actually bringing you to a big question. I want to ask you. Okay, this is a big question, and I want you to put yourself in the position of one of the managers in the top four. So put yourself in either Klopp, Tuchel, Guardiola, or Arteta's seat right now. Okay, I'm about to put up the Man United team from yesterday. There you go. That is the starting 11. If they were all available to sign for your club, how many of them would you sign?
De Gea, Pogba. I mean, if it was Burnley, I would obviously sign all of them. But yeah,
They take you down, Mags. They take you down.
There's only De Gea and Pogba that would get into the other top 6 teams.
Exactly. I was saying top 4, but the fact of the matter is that Wan-Bissaka has been disappointing, full stop, since he signed Manchester United. De Gea has been getting him out of trouble for better part of a decade now. McTominay, he plays centre half for his country. He plays in central midfield here. Maguire, I made the mistake of, and to be fair, I'm not the only person. I believe Dan Griffin also agreed with me. We both thought that Harry Maguire was the Premier League winner. He was signed a season after.
Yeah, from Hull.
Yeah, after. I thought he was actually part of that team.
No,
I was wrong.
Wes Morgan was the big centre back of that Premier League winning team.
Yes, Harry Maguire has won nothing. And he got in the way of Alex Telles during the game as well. Bruno Fernandes
and of Lindelof. He essentially took Lindelof out and then blocked the view of De Gea, so De Gea couldn't save the second goal. He's a liability. There's no. I mean, you can try and paint with your rose-coloured glasses all you want, but Maguire is a liability for Manchester United. He was at fault for all 4 of Man City's goals. He's been at fault for a lot of the issues that Manchester United have. We're just lucky that Luke Shaw wasn't also on the pitch, because him and Maguire tend to get each other's way a hell of a lot more. So yeah, Maguire he should be dropped. It's as simple and clear as that.
Yeah. Thing is that they won't drop him because he's the club captain, and he's also an £85 million player, and you don't drop £85 million players.
I mean, Chelsea did with Kepa.
Yeah, but they paid over. Well, I say they paid over for Kepa. They paid over for Maguire as well. To be fair, it's just the weird thing, because I've been listening to the shouting match that went on with Lindelof, with Micah Richards and Jamie Carragher and Graham Souness and Roy Keane. It was a shouting match, and Micah Richards was just sitting there like back with this massive grin on his face because he didn't say anything. But Carragher and Souness were really, really going for it. But when you've got someone who bleeds Man United like Gary Neville on commentary, and he's berating Bruno Fernandes live on commentary for looking for a foul and not getting one. He's whining for a foul that wasn't a foul. Get up and track back. This is the thing. You see, Manchester United is possibly the biggest brand of football in the entire world. He argued. Okay, and I'm a Liverpool fan. Very proud of that. I will wave my flag. I will be the most biased man in the world. If I was a Man United fan right now, I would be ashamed of this team, because you've got Norwich City, and you've got I'm going to say this with love, Magazine. You've got Norwich, you've got Watford, you've got Burnley, and you've got Leeds and Brentford, who are down the bottom of the table, and they are in a relegation battle, and they're at risk of being dropping out of the league. And they're losing week in, week out, some of these teams. But they are fucking fighting. Mm-hmm. Where's the passion? Where's the drive? These players, and I'm going to come to it more with Everton in a minute as well. Okay, it's ironic, Liverpool fan going over Man United and Everton, but the fact. Look at that scoreline again, 4-1, and then face it, Man City didn't get out of reverse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
right.
If Man City had tried, that would have been a new Premier League record. I genuinely believe it. Man United, every single one of those players, they won't get dropped. They're not worried about being dropped because Rangnick is not going to be there at the end of the season. He's going to be upstairs in his cushy little job, sitting there counting his money because he's not going to be there after the season. Who gives a fuck? He's going to give a report on everything he's got to the next manager. Now he's going to say, well, they didn't play for you, so why should I just read any of this? Throw that away, it'll all die again. This is a real big problem Man United have here. Because, De Gea, what are half these players on a week?
Hundreds and hundreds of thousands.
Maguire's on 160 grand a week. We found that out the other week. 160 grand a week. And he doesn't care. He's getting paid that. He's going to play. If he doesn't play, he gets paid that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you got Pogba out of contract next season. He won't be there. Ronaldo, he won't be there in the season. Fernandes, I shop him as well. They'll be left with the cat, of which there is many. Alanga is the one shining light they've got coming through. But if they don't nurture properly, it's going to end up the same way as Makeda, who you mentioned on stream, and Martial, who's now out on loan.
Januzaj,
yeah, absolutely. Try to rebuild his career. Will he? Who knows? And you've got Rashford now. Rashford in the morning papers, by the way, Mags, has been linked with West Ham.
How did it start? How didn't Rashford start?
He was the second worst player according to the rankings as well. But
to be fair, he got very few minutes, and Man United didn't make a substitution till the 65th minute.
But to be fair, even when Rashford came on, he didn't look interested.
No,
and I don't blame him.
And I think the BBC's sport website kind of puts all this with a bow on. They say it was painful to watch Man United chasing shadows and outmanoeuvred at every turn by a City team that they would like to regard as rivals. United seem to be a club in limbo with an interim manager in Rangnick and a squad of players who are not good enough and seem disaffected with life at the club. Bruno Fernandes, who was such an inspiration when he first arrived, now spends more time arguing with officials and attempting to get cheap fouls than acting as a creative force, whilst the momentum and joy sparked by the return of Ronaldo has long since gone.
I mentioned that Ronaldo coming back to the club was not papering over the cracks. It was putting masking tape on the outside of the door.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Ronaldo... You can throw that. Ronaldo, get in the bin, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, at this point, you being at the club is pointless. Okay, because
he should be the guy leading the line.
Absolutely,
he should be the guy showing these young players this is what this club means. This is what Man United stands for. If
he genuinely was injured, then I get that, but we have our doubts about that. But that is just doubts. Whereas Varane and Shaw, when they play, at least Shaw seems to be making an effort. And Varane, at least he tried. When he's on the pitch, at least you can tell he's usually trying to make an effort.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the lack of fights that is. People listening to this or watching it back on demand, thinking why are you going to talk about Man City? We could talk about Man City till the cows come home. The fact of the matter is that Man City didn't need to do anything in this game. They cruised through this game. The fact, to be fair, Man United are lucky it was only 4.
Yeah, absolutely. Could have been way more. If
Indeed.
Man City had applied themselves more rather than just walk this game, then it could have been a lot more.
Indeed. And speaking of which, Mags, let's go to tonight's game, which is happening while Chelsea was going on. Tottenham Hotspur 5, Everton 0.
Luckily, I was able to get out of the chain wrestling studios quick enough that I could catch the highlights of this game. What a bloody game it was! What finish of the week for me, Michael Keane. What a volley to beat the keeper at the near post with such little room to aim at. What a finish! A shame it was Pickford and it was his own keeper, but what a goal it was. Son was superb. Kulusevski again had an amazing game, and you said quite rightly how unselfish he was. Kane looks like the player that he was 18 months ago, and even Regulion getting on the score sheet. Some great goals in this game. Great team play. Tottenham coming good at the right end of the season. They currently are 7th, but will be looking to use their games in hand over Man United and West Ham to potentially challenge Arsenal for that 4th spot. Everton, on the other hand, horrific. Absolutely horrific. They have now lost 3 in a row again after that kind of resurgence win that they had. This is a team that looks like they are being relegated, and we spoke a little bit earlier with I think it was with Millwall Chris in the chat about Everton being relegated. It looks likely. It really does look likely. Burnley are only 1 point behind them, but with way better form. Leeds are probably the only team that's worse than them. They're only 3 points clear of Watford. I mean, it's a potential that Everton go down because you don't see where Everton win a game. They were terrible in this game. The one decent chance that they had, it came to absolutely nothing. Kane, Kulusevski, Son, Bentancur. Even Eric Dyer had a really good game. Sessegnon had a really good game. This was a dominant performance by Spurs. Everton had no shots on target. 0 shots on target. 6 shots in total. Ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't think Hugo Lloris touched the ball.
No.
The entire game.
No.
This Everton defence in a trench level defence. We make fun, and rightly so at times, of Mason Holgate, who we call Holtag for a good reason. It was a slip of the tongue by Tanner, but the fact matter is he's become a meme. And Seamus Coleman, the elder statesman in that team, I remember him breaking into a team. He would be embarrassed of this backline because aside from him, no one in the backline tried. Even Pickford, who is somehow England's #1 goalkeeper still. I'm not entirely sure how he will get in the team if they get relegated. And he's got pictures on Southgate or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's a shock, and this isn't a Watford level team. This is a Norwich level team. This is a Burnley level team. These are internationals up and down this side. You've got Brazilian internationals. You've got England internationals. You've got Russian internationals, you've got Dutch internationals. It's a huge team. This should be at least a mid-table team, and yet they are struggling to create. They were embarrassed by Tottenham, absolutely embarrassed.
What we do need to state for the fact of is that yes, Frank Lampard is in charge of his Everton side. He did inherit this mess. He did not create the mess. However, he has not made it better. He's not
the manager to get them out of this mess. That was a ridiculous appointment. I said it as it happened that he is not the man to put your stock into in a relegation battle. There were multiple other options that Everton could have gone with that have experience in a relegation battle. Frank Lampard as good of a player as he was, and he was arguably one of the best, he was never in a relegation battle team. He doesn't know this kind of war that you have to put on week in, week out to struggle for victories. He was in a team where they played flowing football and scored multiple goals and challenged for honours. This is not his world. This is not what he can do. And he proved he didn't have the managerial chops when he was manager of Chelsea and had an abundance of money and was still not able to pull it off. He's not the person you want in charge of your team when you are looking for inspiration because you cannot see where your next point comes from. He's as lost as the players are. It's a bad appointment.
Indeed. I'm going to get on to some of the player ratings in a moment. Before we get to that, when I was watching the game, I was actually watching it with Chris a little bit before he starts. So off the bed he goes, and I watched the match. Before he headed off to bed, he actually was surprised when I out of nowhere I reacted. I said like, "Oh my goodness!" And he's like, "What is it?" Like, it's the chant I just heard. You would have heard this, Mag, but the chant that went up from the Tottenham fans. This was at 3-0, by the way. So this is early on. The chant that went up from the for Tottenham fans was, "You're just a shit Steven Gerrard."
I mean, the argument is there, to be fair.
Lampard may have been arguably better on the pitch, but Gerrard seemed to be better in the dugout for sure.
Yeah, and I just don't get the high-profile appointments he's got. It just doesn't make sense. The Chelsea one kind of made sense because it was an emotional one, being like the hero there.
Weird thing is, he did great when he had the kids.
But then you don't have the pressure of the big side, I suppose. I don't think he spent enough time learning his managerial chops, and that's where I think Gerrard was different. He went to, I want to say, an easier league in terms of play, but he went with a very big team in that side.
He learned his trade.
Yeah, not really expecting to win much, but was able to transform Rangers and met them into a competitive side. And then came down to the Premier League and still didn't go for the most high-profile jobs. I mean, he could have easily walked into a Big Six job. There was certainly plenty available at the time, but he wants to kind of build his way up, and he's doing that at Aston Villa. With Lampard...
Doing fine job.
Yeah, with Lampard, it seems that the Chelsea job gave him the bug to think maybe he's a better manager than he is. This is proving that he's not. He's not a Premier League manager at all. He definitely needs to learn his trade, and he's going to take Everton down. It's as simple and clear as that.
Yeah, let's not forget that Derby County, in the financial position that they're in, and given the point position that they've had, and they're still in the shout of staying up because of Wayne Rooney.
Mm-hmm.
And Wayne Rooney was
took
offered,
over from
Frank Lampard.
Yeah,
Wayne Rooney was actually offered the Everton job, and he turned it down because he said it wouldn't be right to walk out on Derby. They put their faith in me. He did the right thing there, and if he keeps Derby up, that will further prove, in my opinion, that he is the man for a job down the line. Although the way they feel they're going, they'll be playing Everton in the Championship next season.
Frank Lampard may be making his way back to Pride Park. Jesus.
Is it Pride Park still? Or have they moved on? I forgot.
No, I think it used to be called the baseball ground. I think it's now Pride Park.
I wasn't sure if they had naming rights and things like that. The Britannia they've now called the 365 Arena.
Let me have a look. I'm sure it's Pride Park.
Yeah, but Spurs are great in this game, bro. Absolutely great. Kulusevski was sublime throughout. You got 2 assists.
He low-key may be one of the signings of the season.
Absolutely. Conte getting him on an 18-month loan deal. It's a genius move. Absolute genius move. Conte is celebrating every goal like it's the biggest goal of the season.
I mean, he's another kind of Jekyll and Hyde though, because when they had that terrible performance against Burnley, when we played him off the park and took the points, he was all for leaving the club. He was ready to pack his bags, and now 3 games on, he's adored again.
But at the same time, that was him basically saying like, if I'm the coach, I'll move aside. Yeah. But basically, he ran the troops that were, and they're on a little bit of a run now, and they've got some big results. And this result today, I mean, that one right there, 5-0.
That epitomises Everton's season.
It could quite easily have been 10, Max.
Yeah, it could easily have been 10.
Because yes, Everton has amazing players through their team. Let's just quickly go through the Everton lineup today. I'm just going to quickly read it out here. They had Pickford, Coleman, Holgate, Keane, Gordon, Decore, Allen, Van der Beek, Kenny, Calvert-Lewin, and Richarlison.
I mean, it's internationals all the way up and down the field.
They replaced. They had to drag Keane off at half time because he was traumatized. I think they put Brandthwaite on. The highest rated player for Everton was Dele Alli, who came on for 20 minutes.
Because he did little to affect the actual result.
Probably so. But the lowest ranked player for Spurs was Højbjerg, who I thought had a good game personally. And he still got a higher score than Dele Alli.
It just goes to show how woeful Everton were.
Just Michaelenko was the second top for Everton, and it probably because of the amount of people who got a lot of love from the moment.
Yeah, and was he not a substitute as well, Michaelenko?
Yep. Gordon, who is a real talent, let's face it, was the highest ranked starter at 4.
And I like Gordon. He's another player, kind of like Saka when Arsenal were in that lull phase, and it was Saka, Smith Rowe, and Odegaard really kind of trying to bolster the team. Gordon reminds me of that. He's a player playing with passion. It's just that nobody around him gives a toss. The manager doesn't know what he's doing. So yeah, it's sad times at Everton, and I think we may see them get relegated.
I normally would take a lot of pleasure in mocking Everton for the position of being in, but I actually can't do it because
you'll miss out on those Merseyside derbies.
Partially, but also Ray Cash ain't here.
That's mean. He'll soon flip-flop to another team like he did from his Baltimore Ravens living days to now living in Texas.
We did warn him.
We certainly did. He took some bad advice with that.
Right, so Mags, it's time to come to our player of the week.
There's a few candidates. Ivan Toney, hat-trick. That always puts you in the limelight. Trent had an absolutely great game. Kulishevsky again was superb. But I'm going for an emotional pick. I'm going for Christian Eriksen for playing 98 minutes, for being the best player on his team, and for getting the Man of the Match award for his club over somebody who got a hat-trick. So for me, it's the Danish sensation Christian Eriksen.
Look, if I'm arguing Mags for that one, it is an emotional pick, yes, but to be fair, what a game he had, and what a week he's had. Yeah. Someone who we did obviously play again, let alone Premier League. So yeah, Christian Eriksen for me is a very, very smart pick as well as emotional. Right. So yeah, we will be back next Monday. With games dotted around all over the place. We'll try and keep abreast of everything. I know that trying to nail down what games where We'll figure that out. We'll figure out where the watch along is going to be, but we'll get enough more watch along coming your way thick and fast as the season comes to a close. I believe the day that Liverpool play Man United, Mags, is the same day that Burnley are on TV as well. Maybe do back-to-backs.
Jesus. Well, we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
We'll see.
The issue is that UFC is on every single week until now, I think, the middle of May. So time may be of an essence, but we'll certainly be bringing more live watch logs. They're just too fun to not do.
Indeed, Don Lucifer saying, "What's good?" Welcome.
Hello, sir. Thank you for turning up. Unfortunately, you've turned up just at the wrong time as we're about to wrap up. But we massively appreciate your view and your support, and hopefully you'll catch us a little bit earlier next time, and you'll be able to join in the fun.
Indeed, and of course you can always catch us on demand. Of course, so just go back into our archives on YouTube, and you can catch up with everything we've been talking about. Mags, how about we hit the socials so we can hit the hay?
Let's do it, because it is getting quite late. It's been a long day for me, so follow me down here on Twitter at PodfatherMags, where I'm involved in way too many podcasts for any one man. It's a bit of an addiction. I do football with Radio Tekkers, obviously. I also do MMA with Radio Tekkers, Chairshot and Visionaries Global Media. I also cover a little bit of the wrestling with a change in attitude and chain wrestling. So, yeah, I'm all over the show. So come and follow me on Twitter. Get those links if you like my dulcet tones, I suppose.
Indeed, and don't forget to follow Mags over on TikTok at MagsAllPods.
Yes, where I am a sensation, apparently.
He's an irritation, some would say, but a sensation.
Most would say.
Indeed. You can obviously follow directly here at Radio Tekkers. You can also follow this show at the Volley Live, and of course you can find me at the Mattech UK. Of course, Tekkers and VGM. Thank you to everybody for jumping into the chat and saying hello. On behalf of myself and Mags, stay safe out there. We love you dearly, and we're out of here.